Welcome to Startup with Ferris live stream. Thank you for tuning in. What's new in the world of entrepreneurship? Folks, I've seen it countless times. You land a new client, you pour your expertise into the project and believe that you've delivered everything they need. But then feedback rolls in, or worse, it doesn't. And you start sensing a disconnect, delayed responses, and maybe lukewarm comments. Suddenly, what seemed like an amazing client, an amazing profitability opportunity, it now feels shaky. And you are left wondering, where did I go wrong? Let me tell you, clients who are not happy, they just leave. There's a report by Zendex. It's called the Zendex Customer Experience Trends in 2024. It found that 57% of clients would switch to a competitor after a bad experience. And the number keeps climbing up. So with these stakes, with the stakes this high, client satisfaction and making sure clients are happy with you and with what you're delivering is essential to a thriving business. And that's exactly what we want to cover today: the 11 common sources of client dissatisfaction, and more importantly, how to avoid them. So before we dive in, just a couple of housekeeping items. One is, whether you're watching or listening live or tuning in later, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment, direct message me, on any of the platforms out there: LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, X. Let me know how you're doing on your business. If you are going through some tough times, ask me questions. That's what we do here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We cover a business topic and then we address questions that come to us from the community. And also, I'd love to hear from you about your wins, small and big wins, and how is it that you're managing to hopefully end the year here on in a strong way. So that's one thing. The other thing is, before at the end of this live stream, we'll also talk about our Black Belt Startup program. We have a couple announcements here leading up to the holidays. So stick with us. And again, if you have any questions that you did not submit ahead of time, we will be more than happy to answer your questions today. If it's on client satisfaction and implementation, that's great. If you have other questions related to entrepreneurship, I am happy to answer as well. It looks like we have a comment. Let me see. Hey, David, thank you so much for being on this live stream. I appreciate your participation. Great. So let's jump back in. So client satisfaction, and we have a few slides here. I want to make sure we are seeing the slides. Yeah, great. So what is client satisfaction? Why it matters? See, client satisfaction is more than just meeting expectations. Of course, you sold a project. It has a defined scope. I hope you defined it well. There's a timeline. There are milestones. There's a budget. There's specific expectations around the quality of the deliverable. So you, as a service provider, your job is to meet, hopefully exceed those expectations. But there's more to it. I think clients want to be felt, that want to feel respected, prioritized, and genuinely valued. And I think what we want to cover today, these 11 sources of dissatisfaction, if you address them as a service provider, if you take care of them and make them part of your processes, and when you hire people, you make sure client satisfaction and the processes to support the satisfaction is part of your company's DNA, you are likely to reap a whole lot of benefits in your business. And some of those benefits include client retention. Satisfied clients stay longer, and this actually has an impact on your bottom line, because it takes, depending on which stat you read, it could take 4 to 5 times as much money and effort and energy to acquire a new client versus taking care of your existing clients. So client retention, and again, we have a slide on this. Let me make sure we have it up. The benefits here, one of it is client retention. So you are reducing the time, the energy, and the cost of constantly seeking new business. And then when client trusts you and you are delivering consistently, just loyalty follows. Now, in the case, let's say in your business model, there's no recurring revenue. There's nothing to upsell your clients. This is where the second benefit comes in handy: referrals and positive word of mouth. Small business, you can spend money on marketing for small businesses. That's fine, but word of mouth could be critical. You cannot afford, especially in early stages, you cannot afford to have people bad mouthing you, or just you lose on the referrals. So happy clients are going to be natural advocates. They refer leads to you. They trust you. They will sing your praises, and as you expand this circle of influence, once you have a network of clients or clients who are very happy with you, they're satisfied. They'll come back for more. Again, if your service lends itself to ongoing recurring revenue, or as I said, that positive word of mouth, that review, that case study, that success story, that video they might produce, just praising you and advocating for you, and then that word of mouth and referring others to you is going to be super important. And the third value here is the competitive edge. It is a competitive market out there. All of us now, we are one click away. We are one Google search or Chat GPT search away from finding another vendor, another supplier. So if you want to maintain a competitive edge, make sure the clients that you have, they feel valued, they feel appreciated. You're delivering to what you committed to. And then the clients will be less likely to consider alternatives, and that will give you this lasting advantage. And last but not least is continuous improvement through feedback. See, I think we have, all of us business owners, subject matter experts, we have this thing called the curse of knowledge. Like, we know a lot about our business, about our processes, about maybe the market, but each client has their own needs, their own view, their own perception of the issue. So I think if we are paying close attention to what the clients are giving us, and we are receiving that feedback with open arms and acting on that feedback, I think that will lead to, first, to improve your business and to improve your processes, but also those clients that are giving you feedback and you're acting on that feedback, that will just make them super delighted, because you're listening to them, you're fixing things to address their concerns. So keep those in mind. Again, client retention, referrals, competitive edge, and this continuous improvement through feedback. And we do have an article on the website, startupwithferris.com, and we did have a live stream on feedback and on how you collect that feedback. So check out the website and let me know if you have any questions on how to get feedback. All right, so that was sort of to warm us up about customer satisfaction and the benefits to your business. Because why did I want to talk about these benefits? And sometimes they seem, maybe it's like I said, no brainer, but to do this repeatedly, to satisfy the clients and to listen to them and to retain them, it doesn't require a mindset. It does require processes in your system, in your company, especially if you have more than just yourself. If you've grown the business to a number of employees, I want you to invest in taking care of the clients, and that investment, you'll reap the benefits of that investment with these 4 categories that we mentioned earlier. All right, now moving on to the 11 common sources of client dissatisfaction. So the first one is misalignment on timelines or deliverables. And again, for those of you watching, we have this on the slides. For those of you who are not watching, maybe, or watching later or listening in, if you want to get a copy of the slides, again, just email us at info@startupwithferris.com. But the first one is unclear expectations. I think that's the root of a lot of the problems in project delivery and in sales. So any misalignment, when I talk about unclear expectations, it's really about not having alignment on timelines and deliverables, or maybe the quality of the work, which any one of these could lead to frustration. So you told a client that you'd finish the project in 2 weeks, and then it takes you 4 weeks. You told the client, let's say you are a copywriter, and you told them that you will produce an article a week, so for a month, and then at the end of the month you only deliver 2, right? That's usually just the expectations. Or maybe you left it open in the contract. You said, I will develop content for your blog. In your mind, you would do maybe a full length, long form article, well researched, and you'll do that once a month. The clients end, maybe they thought you'll be delivering weekly blog posts, right? So unclear expectations, typically to lack of documentation and detailed in the sales process, and maybe during the onboarding process, those could lead to unclear expectations. So make sure that you provide a clear project outline that includes the scope, a detailed scope, what's included and what's not included, and then a timeline, maybe 2-3 milestones, and then the specific deliverables you are delivering and what is included in each of those deliverables. So that's number one. Number two is lack of responsiveness. So sometimes during the sales process, we're so eager to close the deal. We're all over the client. They ask us to meet. We're up at 7 a.m. trying to meet with them and take care of their needs. And then once that contract is signed, we sort of slow down. So lack of responsiveness is not good in the sales process, because clients will go elsewhere, as I always say, and we have a video on this. Time kills all deals. So there's an issue in lack of responsiveness in the sales process, but after they are a client, if you have delayed communication, basically, can really make the clients feel undervalued, especially if there's something that is time sensitive, something that's important to them. Remember, perception is the reality. So if they perceive something as important and they need an answer to it, and it takes you 2 days to get back to them, not good. So that's not checking off this box on client satisfaction. So if you look at the solution here, what is that we can do? Set an internal response standard, and also communicate that with the client. So say within your company, you and your team commit that we will reply within 4 business hours. It could be 8 business hours. It could be a day, whatever it is. Just set up a standard that you want to do your best to live up to that standard. And then obviously being proactive and updating the clients, and that will give them reassurances. So the last thing you want to do is to be super responsive in the sales process, and then the minute you sign a contract, it takes forever for you to get back to the client. It will not leave a good taste in their mouth, and they will not be thinking of you for maybe a service you want to upsell to them, or maybe to send clients your way. So that's number 2, lack of responsiveness. Number 3 is failure to deliver on promises. And of course, the solution here is under promise and over deliver. Easier said than done. But when we're not meeting promises, we're really eroding trust and credibility. That's obviously true in personal relationships, but also in business. And the promises could be small, could be big. Like if you, again, back to, I will have my most senior person on this project. That's your commitment to the client in the sales process. And then when you close the deal and you've secured maybe that 50% upfront payment, then you put the most junior person on that account. Not good, right? So you failed to deliver on that promise. So that, again, will erode trust and credibility. And the solution, as we have here, is it's okay to embellish a little bit. It's okay to put the best in the sales process, and in marketing, we're highlighting our strength and whatnot. That's great, but make sure, if you want to retain clients, if you want to get more business, that you are under promising and over delivering. So whatever you promise in the sales process, whatever you promise in the onboarding meeting, whatever you promise on your website, on your social media platforms, make sure that you are living up to that. And if changes arise, if changes happen, and they do, immediately communicate with the client. This way, they know that you're trying your best. This way, they know that you're aware of it. They're being informed of what's going on, and hopefully you have some proactive solutions to address these changes that arise. Good. And again, if for those of you who are, I know we have folks on different platforms, feel free to send us a comment Sometimes there's a delay in when the comments come in or the questions that you have on this topic, or you have a question on about entrepreneurship not related to this topic. Go ahead and send it, and we will answer it at the end of this session. All right, moving on to the next item here, or the next common source: unexpected costs. Again, that's a no-brainer. People are very sensitive to cost, and obviously, the solution is to provide transparent pricing. So sometimes they're hidden. Sometimes you have some hidden costs, and you need to be transparent. No one likes surprises. Sometimes there are unplanned expenses that come up, right? So maybe you are relying on a vendor to give you to support you, like a subcontractor, or maybe even there's a piece of equipment or there's some software, and the vendor raises the prices on you. I mean, depending on how you sold this. If you sold this project as a fixed cost, then you might have to eat that incremental expense on you from your vendor. So I think in general, you want to be very transparent in your pricing, and you want to, I think, quantify. Let's say you're selling hourly, and we have actually, depending on your pricing model. But if you are looking for pricing models, we do have a full thorough article um, on pricing. But let's say you're using hourly pricing, and your hourly is $150, right? So providing um, let's say you the subcontract that you're using, they decide to charge you $175 an hour, right? But if you're telling the client that my hourly is 150, and then you're responsible for everything behind the scenes, that's really on you, right? But let's say, for example, unplanned expenses, like I said, a vendor, and you told, when the client asks you how much this is going to cost me, you say, okay, it's going to be 20 hours of my time at 150 an hour. And then the software that we need for your business, let's say you're an IT consultant and you're installing antivirus software, and the software is going to cost you $100 per computer, for example. Now, if the software vendor raised their prices to $150 per seat per computer, that cost has to be passed on to the client. So that's unplanned. It's not something that you have control over. So I think in your contract, in the sales process, make sure you define how you price, again, hourly or project based or whatever the model you're using. But also, if you're relying on third party uh, vendors or third party software or equipment, make sure that this is very clear on who's responsible if there are increases in cost from this third party vendor. So I think discuss this up front. People are very sensitive to pricing, especially if you go and tell them, I'll do this work in 20 hours and it's 150 an hour, and then it ends up taking you 30 hours instead of 20. That's a 50% increase. Maybe they haven't budgeted for this, or even the budget is not an issue. It's a surprise, right? So sometimes you have to eat some of these additional costs just so that the client is happy. And in general, do what you can, especially initially if you're a new business owner. Those early clients, you want to bend over backwards for them. You want to make sure they're super happy, because they will help you get a whole lot more clients if they are very satisfied. All right, moving on to the next item. And thank you, David, for your comments. Great so far. We appreciate that. The next one is on quality of the work. So inconsistent quality. And of course, the solution here, and we'll put this on the slide in a second, the solution is to establish clear internal quality standards. So quality issues, let's say you provide documentation, or let's say you provide IT services, or let's say you provide coaching services, whatever the service that you offer. One time you're doing well, one time it's sort of not as great as you could do a job. You're getting feedback from the clients that you weren't prepared, or the documentation was not thorough, or whatever the case might be. I mean, this could cause issues. This quality, this fluctuation in quality will cause clients to question reliability, and people want to work with vendors who are reliable. And again, they might not come back to you for more business, and they might not refer you to others. Like, who would want to refer an unreliable vendor to their friends? Okay, so I think establishing clear standards internally on your end, in terms of, let's say, documentation. So we won't ship the document till we have someone else review it. And if you're a solopreneur, that's okay. Still set up a time for a QA. So get the document ready. So you with the consultant hat on, finish the deliverable, and then sleep on it for a day. The next morning, read it. You are the QA person as well. But if you have other team members, maybe have someone do a quick review on deliverables. That's just one example, right? So I think it's really important. None of these things are maybe uh, groundbreaking issues or items, uh, but to make sure that you're delivering quality all the time on every project and every deliverable, it has to be the quality standard. The processes that you have in house have to lead up to this level of quality. So we fall not to our, what's that saying, not to our like level of hope and expectations, but to really our like weakest processes. So make sure, again, there's a QA process. There's you spend a lot of time early on in understanding the requirements of the client, knowing your domain really well. All of these will help you improve the deliverable and the quality of the deliverable. All right, great. The next item is on onboarding. So this is a major issue, I think, in terms of client dissatisfaction early on. So weak onboarding process, and obviously the solution is to do something that is smooth, that is helpful to the client. So what is onboarding process? If you haven't heard this word before, if you haven't done onboarding for your clients in your business, again, we have an article on the website. And then we do have a live stream. I think that was about a month ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago. We did a full session on onboarding. So you were very excited during the sales process. You sold, the client is happy. You shook hands virtually or in person. Good to go. And then the client now, they're ready to get stuff implemented. And maybe they've given you that 50% check on that initial payment, right? And you're excited and you're celebrating. But now the client is expecting things to happen. So a poor onboarding experience is going to leave clients feeling uncertain. They're not sure what's going on. So I highly recommend that you set up in an onboarding process the minute or the hour or maybe the next day when after the contract is signed. You want to make sure the client is informed of what is going to happen. And hopefully in the sales process, you've done some of that pre-onboarding. You've told them what to expect. For example, within 2 days of signing the contract, we will kick off the project. We will have a kickoff meeting. We'll show you exactly the timeline of the project. We'll introduce you to the project manager. We'll come in and maybe do an assessment, an audit. Again, depending on what you offer in your service. If let's say you're a coach, you are a leadership coach, that's your business, and you go and provide leadership classes to to companies and to their maybe new managers. So maybe part of your process is to get input, have a survey from every attendee, so you know the background of the people that you will be training. So part of your onboarding process is, I will send you a survey. I'd like to get the responses to the survey within 3 days. So lay all that out so the client is aware of what is going to happen next. Do not leave them feeling uncertain. That is not going to help at all. So that initial impression, because, and one more thing here is that you might have interacted a lot with the person who's in charge of a department or the decision maker, and they approve the budget and they bought from you. That's great. But then when it comes to implementation, you might be handed off to someone else. And the person that you're now working with, they don't know you. They haven't really seen your responsiveness, and they haven't really witnessed and heard you in action, and how knowledgeable you are, and how such an amazing expert you are. So you really want to impress the people that you will be working with beyond sort of that sales process. So a welcome packet that details expectations, timelines, your team, if you have a team working on this, their contacts information. And again, check out the onboarding live stream we did about either 4 or 5 weeks ago. And then we have an article on at startupaffairs.com. Good. Let's see. We have the next one is ignoring feedback. And the solution, of course, is always ask for feedback and apply what you can. So if you ignore a client's feedback, you dismiss the client's feedback, and it's just going to prevent you from growing and improving. I know it could be difficult. You've worked hard. You've worked really hard to set up the business. You're working day and night. Your team might be working day and night. And and then the last thing you want to hear is, we didn't like what you just delivered, or like you're late in delivering, or maybe sometimes customers, some, not all, are on. Most people are professional, but you have some, putting this mildly, you have some customers who are unreasonable. So all that might sort of put you in a defensive mode, or like, okay, whatever, thank you for your feedback, but you really don't mean it. What I want you to do is, I want you to proactively ask for feedback at every major milestones. If, let's say, your project is a 2-month project, so maybe, within a couple of weeks, once you have the kickoff, at the first milestone, and then definitely at the end of the project, you want to look at the entire sort of project and see what happened. Again, there's something called a project postmortem or project retrospective. We have again a live stream on that. We have an article on that. But the idea is that you want to be a sponge. You want to, bite the bullet and hear it, even if they're unreasonable, even if the client is unreasonable, and everything they're saying, and or even sometimes the issue, but for whatever reason, financial, or maybe from a team perspective, your most senior person was out on, they were out sick, or they had a personal situation. So the issue. So hear the feedback, ask for the feedback proactively, and show commitment to continuous improvement. And the best thing is that when you get back to the client and let them know that, hey, you give us this feedback and we have acted on it, and here's what we've done. I mean, that is just the clients are going to feel so valued, so appreciated. And again, you're likely to get that 5-star review and get that referral. So keep that in mind. Not just, definitely don't ignore feedback, but I want you to proactively ask for it. Ask for feedback. All right, the next one here, and we have, I think, 3 more to go. And for those who joined us, did not join us at the beginning, if you have any questions on client satisfactions, sources of dissatisfaction, how to deal with this, send us a question. I'd love to hear from you on how you've dealt with it as well. And if you have a question not related to client satisfaction, go ahead and enter it in the comment section, or you can email me if it's sort of very personal. You can email to me we can email us at info@startupwithfaris.com, and Faris is spelled Feras, just like my first name. All right. So the next one is unexpected team changes. So this happens, and of course, it's all about communication. It's not about the change, but also about communicating what happened. So you have, I alluded to this earlier, but let's say you have a project team of 3 people working on this account, and the clients, they just love your team members, and they love the project manager. He or she are very punctual. They provide, the agenda before the meeting. They provide the action items after the meeting. They just love this project manager. And then this project manager, you just landed a big project, and you take this project manager from this one account and you assign it a bigger account. You need to do that because you have a bigger client now, but that's going to leave this existing client unhappy. So if you have to make personnel changes, especially for things that are under your control, you really want to be proactive about communicating these changes with the client, and let them know what happened. And most importantly, assure them that their deliverables, that relationship they've established with you, that's not going to be impacted. And you as a business owner, as a consultant, you might have to kind of step in and attend couple of those meetings where the personnel change took place. And this way, they show you that you're vested invested in the relationship. You care. You're there to support them. You're busy. You're a business owner. You're the CEO, but you're still attending to their needs. So that's really important. And a lot of times, again, most people are reasonable to understand. Sometimes these things are unplanned. Someone goes on a paternity leave or maternity leave, or they're sick, or they have an aging parent that they want to, or they need to relocate, or whatever the case might be. Things happen. So the best thing is plan. As Stephen Covey said, be proactive. Like, we can't control what happens to us. We control our reaction. So when things happen unplanned, absorb it, assess it, talk to your team members, figure out a way, talk to your advisor, whatever the case might be, and then go out and communicate that to the client and support them. Do a bit more hand holding, more support. Be there, be present during this phase after a change has taken place. All right. The next one is lack of personalization. So, and obviously, the solution is to provide tailored approaches to clients. So, I'll give you an example. We had a client. We landed a very large insurance carrier as a client many years ago, and that was our first, I think, first client in the space in that vertical. So when you speak with someone in the medical profession or maybe in the insurance, like they don't say clients, they say patients, they say providers. So if you have a proposal or in your project delivery, in your presentations and spreadsheets, if you're just sending generic documentation or spreadsheets, and these are not customized to the client's needs and to their setup, I mean, they're going to feel it. They're going to sense it. They're not going to feel appreciated. So clients don't want to feel like they're just another project. They might be, but you want them to feel that they're special and give them a little bit more, be nice to them, customize things for them. So tailor your approach to meet the client's needs. I mean, I mentioned the example of using the proper language, but also it could be the client's preferences for communication. They like to get a weekly update with a summary of the project. Here's what we've done this week. Here's what we're doing next week, right? If that's their preference, and maybe that's not something you do, go ahead and do it. They'll be happy. Again, you can over time, you'll know most of these needs or most of these questions that come up during a project, and you can include all of that in your sales proposal and say, like, here's how we will communicate with you. We will communicate with you bi-weekly. We'll send you a monthly status report. But the idea here is that each client is different. You're providing the same service. You're providing the same deliverable. But the approach about delivering, the approach about communicating with the client, the approach about seeking input, you might want to these approaches have to be really customized to the client. Let's say in your mind, you want to go and attend a meeting with all the stakeholders, everybody who's involved on the project on the client side, and gather the input. They might not like that. They might want to get a survey to get the input. So again, you have your own processes, and you might have set up a processes in a certain way, because that's what will ensure the quality of your deliverable, but also be flexible in personalizing, customizing what you do, what you offer to the client's preferences. All right. I think we have a couple more, and that will be the end of it for today. And again, if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to post it. The next one is on failure to provide project updates. This overlaps a little bit with communication, but make sure you have a consistent update schedule for your clients. Again, if depending on the service you offer, if your service is done in a few days, there's not a whole lot of project updates you have to offer. You're done. That's it. But let's say your service spans, I don't know, an 8-week period. So you want to make sure clients feel, again, that you don't want them to feel uncertain. So silence creates anxiety and frustration. So if you set a consistent update schedule, and you could use email, of course. You could also use any collaborative tool, Slack, whatever system you're using. This way, clients are kept informed in either real time if you're using Slack or one of those tools, or if you have weekly updates, they're aware of what's going on. So you don't want to wait 3 weeks into the project and say, you know what, client, we really couldn't make any progress because we are waiting on you to give us access to a system. It's just going to look really bad on your part, and you're going to be perceived as not proactive. So because clients are busy, they have a business to run. So if, for example, you're sending weekly updates and you say, we can't make progress next week because we're waiting on access to the system, then it's really on the client. They cannot come back in 3 weeks from now and say, hey, you did not tell us that you're behind, because you've been sending weekly updates and you've identified the bottleneck. So it's whatever. Again, you have to refine this or customize it depending on the service you offer. But for a lot of services that span more than a week, you or especially if especially if it's ongoing, an ongoing service or like a 6 month contract, this this line of communication has to be open, and periodic project updates in writing, I think, are really important. This way, the client is being updated on what's going on and the bottlenecks, and you have a track record. You have it in documented. You have it in writing of what you've done and what you are waiting on them to do for you for the project. All right, and the last one here, last but not least, is on defensive responses to issues. And of course, the solution here is own up to mistakes. So I mean, again, some clients could be really, really unreasonable. There are a few jerks out there, a few jerks out there, but most people are professional. Most people are nice. Most people just want to get the stuff done. They don't want to take advantage of you. So I think when issues arise, and issues will arise, it's just the nature of the beast. Refusing to accept responsibility damages trust. So if something happens, you made a mistake, own up that mistake, apologize sincerely, and then also that's fine, that's important, but more important is offer a plan to resolve the issue. So example, you had worked hard on delivering something, but you missed one of the requirements. It just whatever the case might be, you missed one of the requirements. You did not address a certain aspect of what the client is looking for. It's a big miss. Yes, sorry, we were too busy, or this slipped through the cracks. We will re-examine our processes and improve this for the next deliverable. For now, I will put another resource on this project. I will double up the resources so we can make up what we missed. Instead of taking it a week, we will do it in maybe 3 days. Or we can tell them, hey, yeah, we missed this. It's on us. And then we will make sure we do everything in our capacity to continue to work hard to deliver the project in the initial committed, agreed on timeline. So again, I think most people are reasonable. They'll understand that things come up, and if you show them a plan of action, if you show them a plan to resolve the issue, and you act on this plan, and you recover and show them that, hey, you messed up, but you're really fixing the issue, I think most people will understand. So those were the 11 common sources of client dissatisfaction and their respective solutions. And I think at the end of the day, especially we have entrepreneurs here who are thinking about starting a business, or maybe they just started and they're looking for traction, the emphasis should be on sales and getting revenue, of course. But as soon as you get that first project, and especially for the very first few clients, you want to do everything in your capacity to make sure they're not just satisfied, but they're delighted, because that's what you have. Like those 2, 3, 4 initial clients, they might be very unreasonable. You probably did not sell them properly. You probably did not have all the boundaries around the scope. You probably overcommitted on the timeline. That's just because you're learning sales. If you're new to entrepreneurship, so that's okay. Don't let that discourage you. But you can always make it up for these clients. It might require more time. It might require more resources. It might require more budget. But initially, for those of you who are just starting, like the first few clients, the goal is not to make bank. The goal is not to make a whole lot of margin. If you can make a whole lot of margin and keep the clients happy, awesome. You're doing something amazingly well, and I want to hear about it. But initially, you want to go through this cycle a few times: marketing, selling, delivering, getting that happy client, getting that testimonial, getting that success story from the client, and the budget, the extra resources, the extra time you have to put to meet the client's needs. That is okay. It's worth every bit of it, every penny of it, every second of it, because you get those first clients happy, super happy with you. They will sing your praises. They will tell others. They will be your evangelists. So take care of them. And for those of you who have been around for a while and struggling with client satisfaction, I hope that what we covered today will help you examine your processes and see how you can improve your processes to address each one of those 11 common sources of dissatisfaction. So that is it for today. If you are liking this content, we'd love you to go to our YouTube channel and click the like button and also subscribe. We publish a lot of content on entrepreneurship every day, short or long form, and would love to hear your feedback. Again, if there are specific things you're facing, you're struggling with, let me know. I'll be more than happy to address these issues and help you out in our upcoming um, live stream. So also our training and coaching program, blackbeltstartup.com. It is a complete curriculum. We have office hours once a week where you have access to me, and I answer your questions. We help you also set up your own personalized roadmap to get your business off the ground and grow your business if you're struggling. And we have a free course. You can access, I think, 12 modules. You can finish in 1 hour. And then we have the paid membership. And it's all based on years of the principles of martial arts, and then also sound business principles that have helped me build and grow 7 businesses. So, and it's a month-to-month commitment, no long-term commitment, and would love to hear from you. Check it out again, blackbeltstartup.com. And we have an upcoming promotion coming with upcoming promotion with Black Friday. So again, subscribe to the channel, join our email list. You'll get updated. I think we're sending an email out tomorrow or the next day and you get a special on sign up for the membership. So thank you so much for being here. We have a couple comments. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. I appreciate your thought. Happy that you joined us. And we have someone on LinkedIn. Okay, I can't see the comments from LinkedIn, but someone said hi. So hi again. I appreciate you. I'll check out LinkedIn after the seminar, the live stream. But for some reason, the comments from LinkedIn don't come into the interface that I'm looking at. But thank you all for joining. We will not have a live stream next week. Next week is a holiday here in the US, Thanksgiving. So we will be off. We'll be available if you send us an email, but we will not have a live stream. So we will meet the week after the holiday. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. See you next time.